I stared at the layoff notice in my inbox, my name prominently displayed at the top of the document, while across the office, Amanda accepted congratulations on her promotion to creative director, the exact position I'd been working toward for 3 years at Reynolds Marketing. In that moment, a chill ran through me that had nothing to do with the office air conditioning. Something about this situation felt deeply wrong. But I never could have imagined that my best friend of 15 years was the architect of my professional demise. What hurt more than losing my job was discovering that the woman who'd been my bridesmaid, who'd held my hand through my divorce, who was Auntie Jen to my daughter Emma, had been systematically sabotaging my career while stealing my ideas, all with a smile on her face and promises of unwavering friendship on her lips. That Monday morning remains etched in my memory. The office had been buzzing with restructuring rumors for weeks, but I felt secure. My client retention rate topped the department, and I'd recently landed the Peterson account, a major corporation that Reynolds had been courting unsuccessfully for years. I walked in with confidence, caramel macchiato in hand, portfolio tucked under my arm. "Morgan," Amanda's voice carried across the lobby as I stepped off the elevator. Her enthusiasm seemed oddly performative, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Go. Did you hear? They're announcing the new creative director today." I nodded, trying to ignore the sudden knot forming in my stomach. Amanda looked immaculate in her charcoal Burberry blazer, hair freshly highlighted and straightened to perfection. We'd both interviewed for the promotion last week, but had sworn over mimosas not to let it affect our friendship. "May the best woman win, right?" I said, forcing a smile. "Absolutely," she replied, linking her arm through mine as we walked toward the conference room. "Whatever happens, we celebrate tonight. I've already made reservations at Emilio's for 7:30. The warning signs were everywhere. I just refused to see them. The sympathetic glances from Sarah at reception. The way Trevor from accounting suddenly became intensely interested in his phone when we passed. Most telling was how Richard, our department head, barely mumbled, "Good morning," before hurrying into the conference room ahead of us. The team assembled quickly. 23 faces focused on Richard as he shuffled papers at the head of the table, his Italian leather portfolio, a Christmas gift from his wife that he never failed to mention, positioned precisely before him. "Before we begin our regular meeting, I have an announcement to make." He paused dramatically, eyes darting between Amanda and me. "After careful consideration, we've decided to promote Amanda Wilson to creative director." Applause erupted around the table. Amanda's hand found mine beneath the surface and squeezed, a gesture that should have felt supportive but instead felt like she was marking her victory. I forced my facial muscles into what I hoped resembled congratulations rather than devastation. "Congratulations, Amanda," Richard continued, his voice carrying an unusual warmth. "Your presentation on the future of digital marketing was exactly what the executive team was looking for." My heart slammed against my ribs. Digital marketing? That was my presentation, the one I developed over 3 months, researching industry trends until 2 a.m. most nights. The same presentation I'd excitedly outlined to Amanda over Thai food and wine at my kitchen table. The very presentation that had mysteriously disappeared from my laptop last week, forcing me to recreate a rushed version before my interview. I turned toward Amanda, who beamed at Richard while soaking in the praise. She caught my eye and had the audacity to wink, as if we shared some private understanding. That moment crystallized everything. This wasn't coincidence or bad luck. This was calculated betrayal. "There's one more announcement," Richard added, his tone suddenly somber. "As part of our restructuring, we'll be reducing the size of the creative team by 15%. The conference room fell silent. Everyone understood the implication. "Those affected will be notified by the end of the day. Please check your emails." Richard gathered his papers, effectively ending the meeting before our regular agenda items. As everyone filed out, whispering anxiously among themselves, Amanda leaned toward me. "Still on for tonight. We can make it a promotion consolation dinner." I nodded mechanically, though every cell in my body screamed to confront her. Almost, but I needed evidence first. If Amanda had stolen my presentation, what else had she done? The morning passed in a fog of disbelief and mounting suspicion. I robotically answered emails while my mind replayed years of friendship, searching for signs I might have missed. Amanda and I had met sophomore year of college, roomed together for 3 years, then miraculously landed jobs at Reynolds within months of each other. We'd stood beside each other at our weddings, held each other through my divorce from Mark and her struggles with infertility. How could this person I trusted completely have betrayed me so thoroughly? At precisely 4:38 p.m., the notification arrived, a calendar invite for a 5-hour meeting with HR and Richard, followed immediately by the formal email. My position had been eliminated. I had 2 weeks to transition my clients and clear out my desk. The severance package included 3 months' salary and extended health benefits, generous by industry standards, but a poor consolation for career sabotage. "No," I whispered, staring at my monitor. "This isn't right." I needed answers, so I did something completely out of character. I waited until the office emptied for the day, told the cleaning crew I was finishing an urgent project, and slipped into Amanda's new office, the corner space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chicago River that should have been mine. Her computer required a password, but Amanda had always been careless with security. On my third attempt, Bailey Jen 2019, for her golden retriever and birth year, I gained access. What I discovered made me physically ill. Folders containing my work, slightly modified and rebranded as hers. Email threads with Richard and other executives that systematically undermined me. Morgan seems increasingly stressed lately. Her work on the Hartman project contained several concerning errors that I quietly corrected before the client presentation. Just between us, I'm worried about Morgan's commitment level. She mentioned struggling with single motherhood and hinted she might need to reduce her hours. I've been covering for Morgan missing deadlines because we're friends, but I thought you should know it's becoming a pattern. Each message was crafted to appear concerned rather than malicious. The final betrayal was an email from 3 days prior. I hate to bring this up, but I overheard Morgan discussing potential employment opportunities with our client, Westfield Industries. I believe she's planning to take proprietary information. With her, I'm only mentioning this because of my loyalty to Reynolds. My stomach churned with nausea. Amanda hadn't just stolen my promotion, she'd engineered my termination by portraying me as uncommitted, incompetent, and disloyal. I was so absorbed in these discoveries that I didn't hear the door open. "Morgan, what are you doing in my office?" I spun around to find Amanda in the doorway, her expression morphing from surprise to alarm as she registered what I was viewing on her screen. "Your office?" I replied, my voice unnaturally steady despite the rage pulsing through me. "You mean the office you acquired by stealing my work and systematically lying about me to management?" Amanda's professional mask hardened. "You weren't supposed to be here. You received the layoff notice, didn't you?" "Yes, interesting coincidence how the person with the highest client retention rate gets eliminated right after her best friend plagiarizes her presentation and poisons the well with leadership." Amanda stepped fully into the room, quietly closing the door behind her. "It wasn't personal, Morgan. It's business. Only one of us could get the promotion, and I needed it more than you." "Needed it more?" I laughed bitterly. "I'm a single mother supporting a 7-year-old on one income. You and Kevin have dual 6-figure salaries and a condo on Lake Dykes Shore Drive." "That's exactly my point," Amanda snapped, her carefully maintained composure fracturing. "You have Emma. You have a family. Everyone admires the devoted single mom who still excels professionally. Poor Morgan, so strong, so inspiring." She practically spat the words, "What do I have? My marriage is falling apart. Kevin's barely spoken to me in months. This job is all I have left." I stared at her, struggling to comprehend this twisted reasoning. "So your solution was to destroy my career too? 15 years of friendship meant that little to you?" "You'll find another job," Amanda dismissed, with a wave of her manicured hand. "You always land on your feet, but if you're thinking about making accusations, remember it's your word against mine, and I'm the creative director now." That evening, after crying in my car until my mascara created raccoon circles under my eyes, I drove to Emilio's, not to celebrate with Amanda, but to pick up dinner for Emma and me. The hostess, Gabriella, recognized me immediately. "Ms. Bennett, your friend just called to cancel your reservation. She said to tell you something urgent came up at work." Gabriella hesitated before adding, "She sounded pleased about it." That final twist of the knife cemented my resolve. Amanda might believe she'd won, but she'd made a critical error. She had drastically underestimated me. The next 2 weeks ranked among the most challenging of my professional life. I maintained a facade of acceptance while transitioning my clients to other team members. Amanda avoided me completely, communicating exclusively through email. Office whispers followed me everywhere, undoubtedly fueled by more of Amanda's subtle sabotage. I focused on 2 priorities: documenting everything I'd found in Amanda's emails and files, and nurturing my client relationships. I couldn't prove she'd stolen my presentation. I hadn't kept external backup copies, but her pattern of deception was evident throughout her communications. On my final day, Richard called me into his office, a glass-walled space that offered the illusion of transparency while actually providing none. "Morgan, I want you to know this wasn't personal. Your work has been exemplary, but Amanda made a compelling case for restructuring the department." I nodded neutrally. "I understand. Business decisions aren't always fair." Richard visibly relaxed, clearly relieved to avoid confrontation. "I'm glad you see it that way. I'd be happy to serve as a reference for you." "Actually," I said carefully, "I'd appreciate if you could tell me specifically why I was selected for layoff. For my own professional development." Richard shifted uncomfortably in his ergonomic chair. "Well, there were concerns about your commitment level given your family responsibilities, and some questions about client relationships." "You mean the completely fabricated rumor that I was planning to poach clients?" Richard's eyes widened. "How did you—" "I have my sources," I said evenly. "Just as I have evidence that Amanda Wilson has been systematically undermining me and appropriating my work for months." "That's a serious accusation," Richard replied, voice hardening defensively. "It is, which is why I haven't made it formally yet. I wanted to give you the opportunity to investigate first." I handed him a USB drive containing everything I'd discovered. Richard accepted it reluctantly, holding it like it might detonate. "Morgan, even if what you're claiming is accurate, Amanda is now in a leadership position. This could become exceptionally messy." "Yes," I agreed. "It could, particularly if it became public knowledge that Reynolds promoted someone who stole intellectual property and fabricated performance concerns about colleagues." I left Richard's office feeling oddly empowered. I'd planted the seed of doubt, though I harbored no illusions that it would immediately change anything. Companies protect their decisions, and Amanda was now firmly embedded in management. As I packed my desk, Amanda finally approached me, her Louboutins announcing her arrival before she appeared. "I heard you spoke with Richard," she said, keeping her voice low. "Well, whatever you think you're doing, it won't work." I looked up at this woman I'd once trusted with everything, from career aspirations to my darkest fears about failing as a single mother. "You know what's funny, Jen? I genuinely believed we were friends, real friends." Something flickered in her eyes, perhaps regret, but it quickly vanished behind determination. "We were friends, but sometimes you have to choose yourself." "Is that what Kevin did too? Choose himself?" Amanda flinched visibly. "What are you talking about?" "Your failing marriage? The reason you needed this promotion more than me? I'm wondering if Kevin's distance has anything to do with how easily you betray those closest to you." It was a speculative shot, but Amanda's reaction confirmed I'd hit something real. "You don't know anything about my marriage," she hissed. "You're right, and honestly, I don't care anymore. Goodbye." "Amanda." I walked out of Reynolds Marketing with my head high, a cardboard box of personal belongings in my arms, and absolutely no job waiting for Monday. That night was one of the hardest, after tucking Emma into bed with extra stories and reassurances that Mommy just gets to find an even better job now. I sat at my kitchen table surrounded by bills and my dwindling savings calculations. How would I explain to my 7-year-old that we might need to move from our apartment? That her summer camp might not be possible this year? "Mommy, are you sad?" Emma's small voice startled me. She stood in the hallway clutching her stuffed penguin, Professor Waddles. I quickly wiped away tears I hadn't realized were falling. "Just a little tired, sweetheart." "Why aren't you asleep?" "Professor Waddles says you need a hug." She padded across the kitchen in her unicorn pajamas and climbed onto my lap. As I held my daughter, her small arms wrapped tightly around my neck, I made a silent promise I would turn this betrayal into something positive for both of us. The following weeks blurred into a relentless cycle of job applications, networking calls, and maintaining normalcy for Emma. My emergency fund would sustain us for a while, but the job market was competitive, and the shadow of being laid off, especially with whatever whispers Amanda had likely spread, complicated my search. What gave me hope was the support from my clients. Though my non-compete clause prevented direct contact, several reached out independently, expressing confusion about my departure. It seemed Amanda's transition into handling my accounts wasn't proceeding smoothly. Then came the first unexpected turn in my favor. 3 weeks after my termination, my phone rang with a call from Diane Peterson, my biggest client at Reynolds. Morgan, I don't understand what's happening at Reynolds, but this new creative director knows nothing about our brand voice. She's proposing strategies that completely contradict everything we established with you. I chose my words carefully. I'm sorry to hear that, Diane. Unfortunately, I can't discuss Reynolds' business decisions or strategy. Well, I can discuss mine, Diane continued firmly. We're taking our business elsewhere, and I'd like to know where you end. Up so we can potentially follow you. Within days, similar calls came from 2 other clients. Word was spreading that the new creative director wasn't delivering, and questions about my sudden departure were circulating throughout Chicago's marketing community. I was at Garfield Park with Emma, watching her navigate the jungle gym with newfound confidence when my phone rang again. An unfamiliar number appeared on the screen. Morgan Bennett speaking. Miss Bennett, this is Sophia Martinez from Westfield Industries. I believe you handled our account at Reynolds. My pulse quickened. Westfield was the client Amanda had falsely accused me of attempting to poach. Yes, that's correct, Ms. Don Martinez. I'm calling because we've terminated our contract with Reynolds Marketing, effective immediately. Their new leadership has been disappointing. I understand you're no longer with the company. That's right, I confirmed. I was part of a departmental restructuring. Well, I've heard from Diane Peterson that you're available. We'd like to discuss working with you directly once your non-compete period ends. That evening, an unexpected text arrived from Melissa, an account manager at Reynolds and casual friend who'd always been kind but never particularly close. You won't believe what's happening. Jay is unraveling. 3 major clients gone in 2 weeks. Emergency board meeting tomorrow. Are looking nervous. I didn't respond, but allowed myself a small smile. The universe occasionally delivered justice in unexpected ways. The next day brought another surprise. An email from Richard appeared in my inbox. Morgan, I've reviewed the information you provided. The board would like to meet with you. Please call me at your earliest convenience. I waited a full day before responding. Partly strategic, partly because I was taking Emma to her first skating lesson and refused to let Reynolds intrude on that milestone. When I did call Richard, his tone had transformed remarkably. Morgan, I'll be direct. We've lost 4 major clients, all citing dissatisfaction with Amanda's leadership. The board has significant concerns about her conduct and qualifications, especially considering the evidence you provided. That's unfortunate for Reynolds, I replied neutrally. We'd like to offer you your position back, with a substantial raise and the title of Associate Creative Director. I nearly laughed. Aloud, Richard, you terminated me based on fabrications from someone you then promoted. Why would I consider returning? Because the board is prepared to remove Amanda and offer you the creative director position instead, he stated bluntly. We need someone who can bring those clients back. The vindication was tempting. So tempting I could almost taste it. The title that should have been mine, the corner office, the recognition, but something held me back. I appreciate the offer, Richard, but I need time to consider it. This isn't simply about title or compensation for me. Of course, take the weekend. But Morgan, the board meets Monday to decide Amanda's fate. Your presence would be influential. The following morning, just as Emma and I were heading out for Saturday breakfast at our favorite diner, my phone rang. The caller ID showed Alexander Thornton, a name I didn't recognize. Morgan Bennett speaking. Ms. Bennett, this is Alex Thornton, CEO of Meridian Partners. Do you have a moment to talk? My heart skipped. Meridian was Reynolds' largest competitor in the Chicago market. Yes, of course, Mr. Thornton. Please, call me Alex. I'll get straight to the point. Diane Peterson is an old friend, and she called me yesterday singing your praises. Said you're the only reason Reynolds kept their business for the past 2 years. I glanced at Emma, who was patiently drawing in her sketchbook. That's very kind of her. Diane mentioned you're available, and frankly, we've been watching Reynolds lose clients left and right this month. I'd like to meet with you to discuss opportunities at Meridian. We need someone who understands relationship marketing, not just technical execution. We arranged to meet that afternoon at a quiet cafe. Emma went to her Saturday art class. Oz and I wore my interview suit for the first time since being laid off. Alex Thornton was nothing like I expected. A relaxed woman in her early 50s wearing jeans and a blazer, her gray-streaked hair in a simple ponytail. I've reviewed your portfolio, she said after we ordered coffee. Impressive work, especially the Peterson campaign and the Westfield rebranding proposal. Thank you. Those were particularly rewarding projects. I understand there were unusual circumstances surrounding your departure from Reynolds. I considered how to respond. There were leadership decisions I disagreed with. Alex smiled knowingly. Morgan, Chicago's marketing community is smaller than people think. I've heard rumors about stolen work and false performance claims. I've also heard about 4 major clients walking away from Reynolds in the past month, all accounts you managed. She leaned forward. I don't care about the drama. I care about results. Diane Peterson says you deliver them, and that's good enough for me. I want to offer you the creative director position at Meridian, starting as soon as your non-compete allows. Full benefits, salary 30% above your previous position, and flexibility for your daughter's schedule. I nearly choked on my coffee. That's extremely generous. It's practical. We need someone with your talent and client, relationships, and frankly, I like the idea of snagging Reynolds' clients right now. That weekend became a turning point. I spent Saturday night discussing the offer with my mother over the phone while Emma slept. Want to take it, Mom advised firmly. Reynolds had their chance. They chose politics over performance. But what if the board makes Amanda leave? They're offering me her position. Honey, do you really want to work somewhere that only values you after you're gone? Where your boss was willing to sacrifice you for office politics? Take the fresh start. Sunday evening brought another unexpected call from Kevin, Amanda's husband. Morgan, I know this is weird, but I need to talk to you about Jen. We met at a coffee shop near my apartment while my mother stayed with Emma. Kevin looked exhausted, with stubble darkening his usually clean-shaven face and wrinkled clothes that suggested he hadn't been home in days. Amanda told me everything, he said after ordering black coffee, about stealing your work, lying to get you fired. She's been falling apart since the client started leaving. I studied him, trying to determine his sincerity. Why are you telling me this? Kevin sighed heavily. Because there's something you don't know. Something that might explain. Not excuse, but explain why she did this. I'm listening. Amanda's been having an affair with Richard. Though I'd suspected something, hearing it confirmed still shocked me. For 8 months, Kevin continued, I found out just before you were fired. That's why our marriage has been distant, as she put it. He made air quotes around the word. The promotion wasn't just professional advancement, it was Richard's way of keeping her close and providing cover for their relationship. The puzzle pieces snapped into place. Amanda's desperation, Richard's reluctance to investigate, the haste with which her promotion had been decided despite my superior results. She destroyed my career to maintain her affair, I said flatly. Yes, and now that the board is investigating her performance, Richard is distancing himself. He told her yesterday that he can't protect her anymore. I processed this information, feeling strangely hollow. Why tell me this, Kevin? Are you hoping I'll feel sorry for her? Kevin shook his head firmly. No, I'm telling you because you deserve to know everything before deciding what to do next. And because, he hesitated, I filed for divorce on Friday. This situation has shown me who Amanda really is, and I can't stay married to someone capable of such calculated betrayal. This conversation with Kevin represented the pivotal revelation in this saga. What had seemed merely professional betrayal was actually part of a complex web of deception, infidelity, and corruption that had ensnared me as collateral damage. Monday morning arrived with my decision made. I dressed carefully in my most commanding outfit, the charcoal suit I'd worn to land the Peterson account. Emma hugged me extra tight before school. "Are you going to get your old job back today, Mommy?" she asked, her blue eyes serious. I kissed her forehead. "No, sweetheart. I'm going to do something better. I'm going to show them what they lost." The Reynolds marketing boardroom fell silent as I entered precisely at 10 a.m. 8 board members sat around the mahogany table, with Richard at one end looking pale and Amanda at the other, her usual perfect appearance noticeably frayed, mascara slightly smudged, hair less than immaculate. "Ms. Bennett, thank you for joining us," said the board chair, Victoria Winters, a formidable woman I'd met only twice before. "Now, we understand you have information relevant to our current situation." I took the empty seat they'd provided, directly across from Amanda, whose eyes widened at my confident demeanor. "Yes, I do. But first, I'd like to clarify something. I'm not here to accept any position at Reynolds Marketing." Richard shifted uncomfortably. "Morgan, perhaps we should discuss the offer privately." "There's no need," I interrupted smoothly. "I'm not interested in returning to a company that allowed this situation to develop in the first place." Victoria leaned forward. "Ms. Bennett, we assure you that the board was unaware of any impropriety in the promotion process or your termination." "Perhaps not," I conceded. "But that's part of the problem, isn't it? The lack of oversight that allowed a department head to promote someone with whom he was having an affair and terminate a top performer based on fabricated concerns." The room erupted in murmurs. Richard's face drained of color, while Amanda's flushed crimson. "That's a serious accusation?" Victoria said sharply. "It is, and I have evidence to support it, just as I have evidence of Amanda stealing my work and systematically undermining me through false reports to management." I placed a folder on the table. This contains everything. Screenshots, email records, text messages between Amanda and Richard discussing how to remove me so their relationship wouldn't be scrutinized, and documentation of my work that was presented as Amanda's. Amanda finally spoke, her voice cracking. "You can't prove anything. This is just a vindictive attempt to get your job back after you couldn't handle being laid off." I faced her directly. "I spoke with Kevin yesterday. Jen, he told me everything." The fight visibly drained from her body. Her shoulders slumped, and for a moment, I glimpsed the devastation beneath her professional facade. "Morgan, you don't understand," she whispered. "Richard promised we would be together. He said once I was in management, things would be different." Richard started to protest, but Victoria silenced him with a raised hand. "Ms. Wilson, are you confirming that you and Mr. Harding have been engaged in an inappropriate relationship?" Amanda looked from Richard to me, then back to the board chair. The calculation was visible as she weighed which admission would damage her least. "Yes," she finally said, "but that had nothing to do with Morgan's termination. That was a legitimate business decision." I couldn't help but laugh. Whoa, a business decision to terminate the person with the highest client retention rate and most new business development. The person whose work you had to steal to get promoted? Please explain the business logic, because the 4 clients who've departed seem confused by it too. Victoria took control then, directing pointed questions at both Amanda and Richard, who quickly began contradicting each other as they attempted to minimize their individual culpability. It was like watching a house of cards collapse, each trying to remove their card without bringing down the entire structure. After 30 minutes of this, Victoria turned to me. "Ms. Bennett, what is it you want from this meeting? If not your position back." I'd been contemplating this question all weekend. What did I truly want? Revenge? Justice? My old life restored? "I want 3 things," I stated clearly. First, a formal letter acknowledging that my termination was without cause and based on false information. Second, immediate payment for the remainder of my non-compete period, since Reynolds has already violated the terms by discussing my performance with clients. And third, I want the board to know that I've accepted a position as creative director at Meridian Partners, starting next month. Amanda's head snapped up. Meridian? Our biggest competitor? I smiled. Yes. They reached out after hearing about my departure and the subsequent client exodus. Diane Peterson and Westfield Industries have already signed with them, contingent on my joining the team. The board members exchanged glances, understanding the implications fully. I'd not only exposed corruption in their leadership, but had aligned myself with their chief rival and taken major clients with me. Victoria nodded slowly. I believe we can accommodate those requests. Ms. Bennett, the board will need to discuss the broader implications in private. As the meeting concluded, I gathered my things, feeling lighter than I had in months. Amanda caught my arm as I turned to leave. You planned this, she hissed. All of it. You knew exactly how to destroy me. I gently removed her hand. No, Jen, I didn't plan any of this. You did this to yourself when you decided our friendship meant nothing compared to your ambition. The difference between us is that I never wanted to destroy you. I just refused to let you destroy me. Her face twisted with anger. And something else. Perhaps the first genuine remorse. What am I supposed to do now? I thought about all we'd shared. College all-nighters. Dancing at each other's weddings. Holding hands through difficult times. Despite everything, a small part of me remembered the friend I thought she was. You should do what I did, I told her quietly. Start over. Build something real this time, not based on lies and using other people. It's actually much more satisfying that way. Morgan, she said, her voice suddenly small. I am sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I got so lost in trying to have what I thought I needed that I sacrificed the one real thing in my life, your friendship. I looked at her for a long moment. I believe you're sorry now, Jen. But I'm not sure you would be if everything hadn't fallen apart. Take care of yourself. I walked out of Reynolds Marketing for the second and final time, carrying no box of belongings but something far more valuable, my integrity intact and my future brighter than before. The fallout was substantial. Richard resigned the following week, Amanda was terminated, industry gossip circulated rapidly, and I received countless messages from former colleagues expressing support or seeking opportunities at Meridian. My first day as creative director. At Meridian Partners felt like stepping into a new chapter. My office overlooked Grant Park. My team seemed eager and talented, and most importantly, I'd negotiated for flexibility to attend Emma's school events and work from home when needed. The transition wasn't without challenges. 2 weeks into my new role, a crisis erupted with our largest existing client, Hartford Financial. Their CEO was threatening to pull their business after a miscommunication about campaign timing. They've been with us for 8 years, Alex explained in our emergency meeting. Hartford represents 15% of our annual revenue. The team looked to me, the newcomer, the unproven leader, with a mixture of hope and skepticism. This was my first real test. Give me their file and 2 hours, I said, remembering all the times Amanda had taken credit for solving problems while excluding me from the process. And I want the entire account team in the conference room at noon. Instead of hiding in my office and presenting a solution, I facilitated a collaborative session with the Hartford team. Each person contributed insights about the client relationship. By the end of the day, we developed a comprehensive recovery plan that not only salvaged the account, but expanded it. That was impressive, Alex said afterward. Most new. Directors would have tried to prove themselves with a solo solution. I learned from someone else's mistakes, I replied. No one succeeds alone. 6 months later, I ran into Amanda at a coffee shop downtown. She looked different, simpler. Clothes, less makeup, a humbler demeanor. She was carrying a portfolio and appeared to be waiting for an interview. Our eyes met across the room. There was so much that could have been said. Accusations, explanations, apologies. This time, the moment demanded words. Hello, Morgan, she said, approaching my table hesitantly. You look well. Thanks. How are you doing? I asked, meaning it genuinely. What's starting over? She replied. gesturing to her portfolio. Trying to rebuild my career at smaller agencies? No one in the major firms will touch me now? That must be difficult, Amanda nodded. It is, but necessary. Listen, I know this doesn't change anything, but I truly am sorry. What I did to you was unforgivable. You're right that it doesn't change what happened, I acknowledged, but I hope you find what you're looking for, Jen. I really do. As she turned to leave, I added, your interview. Is it for the creative position at Westbrook Agency? She looked surprised. Yes, how did you know? Their creative director called me for a reference yesterday. I told her you're incredibly talented. Amanda's eyes widened. You gave me a reference after everything. I told her the truth, that you're gifted creatively, but that there had been ethical issues in our past work relationship. I said people deserve second chances if they've learned from their mistakes. The rest is up to you. Tears filled her eyes. Thank you, Morgan. I don't deserve your kindness. It's not kindness, I clarified. It's closure. Good luck, Amanda. As I watched her walk away to her interview, I reflected on how differently everything had turned out than either of us could have anticipated. Amanda had tried to build her success on my downfall, never imagining that her betrayal would lead to her professional destruction and my unexpected advancement. But the most valuable lesson wasn't about career trajectory or even justice. It was about knowing your own worth and refusing to let anyone else define it. Amanda had been so desperate for validation from Richard, from her career, from external success, that she'd sacrificed the one person who truly valued her, me. I, meanwhile, had discovered that sometimes losing what you thought you wanted opens the door to something far better. My position at Meridian came with greater respect, better compensation, and the work-life balance I'd always desired. Emma was thriving in our new routine where I could be present for her important moments, and I was building a team culture founded on support rather than competition. The betrayal still stung when I allowed myself to dwell on it. 15 years. A friendship isn't erased easily, but I no longer felt angry or bitter. Amanda would have to live with her choices, just as I was living with mine. And truthfully, I wouldn't trade places with her for all the corner offices in the world. What did you think of the story? Leave a comment telling us about your experience and rate this story from 0 to 10. We want to know about you. 2 buttons will appear on the screen. One to subscribe, if you haven't already, and another to watch another interesting story. Choose one. Thanks for watching this far. See you soon.